Hey guys, welcome to the RAMZPAUL show. It is Monday, February 17th. I was running just a couple of minutes behind. I was scrambling to get my coffee. It's going to be very cold this week in the Ozarks. It's supposed to get under zero in a couple days. Snow is supposed to come in. So damn you, Bernie Sanders. You know, Bernie Sanders is a guy I followed him on Twitter, and every summer invariably there's a hot day somewhere and he's like, see, I told you global warming's real. But where are you, Bernie? Come to Arkansas here this week. It's been unusually cold, so but after this week it's supposed to warm up, but this week is supposed to be pretty bitter. It's pretty cold today out there, but at least it's sunny. But yeah, it's February. It's called winter. It's winter. It gets cold here, but this has been a very cold winter. But hopefully spring's coming soon and things will start to warm up. Of course, that means I just have to mow the lawn and all that, but in another month, that is coming. So guys, thank you so much for being here. It is great. We have a busy week. If you're new to the show, welcome. This is the RAMZPAUL show. We do this Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, we stream at 11 a.m. And we typically go an hour and a half. Just depends on the news day and your interaction. And how you can interact with the show and help support me. I do not get USAID money like everyone else. I don't get it. I rely on you and I appreciate your support. And there's a few ways you can do that. On YouTube, there's Super Chats. Rumble has an equivalent called Rants. And X, not an X, I don't have anything, but on Powerchats here, you can leave a question or a comment. I will get to it right away. And Stream Elements has that too. And I stream on 3 platforms concurrently, YouTube, Rumble, and on X. So be sure to like and follow me on YouTube and Rumble, and follow me on X. I do appreciate it. I'm pretty active on X. I post quite a bit. So if you could be on there, I do appreciate it. It definitely helps. And I'm monetized on X, but the engagement's real down. I get like $30 a month or something. But still is something. So if you follow me on X, I do appreciate it. And let's see. Then Wednesday, I'm excited. I'm kicking off my show with the famous Z-Man. We're gonna have a great time. I haven't figured out the topic yet. Maybe Ukraine and the peace thing that's going on with Russia. That's pretty interesting. We'll talk about that. But that's going to be our Wednesday show. I haven't titled the show yet. I don't know what we're going to call it, but it's going to be an hour show. We're going to keep it to an hour. So Wednesday at 7. And then Tuesday, if you're a member of my Substack, which if you're not, please do. There's no reason not to be a member of my Substack. We have a roundtable, and that usually goes for a couple of hours. And let me just put that here so you guys, if you're not there, you can just hop on over and get on it. And again, even if you don't, there's an option you can be a member and join, a paying member, and you get the roundtables. Plus every Friday I do special video or a article just for my members. But Monday through Thursday, I do a column every day, and I did one this morning, and it's free, so might as well sign up for it. I'm basically, at the end of this month, I will be off of Gumroad. Gumroad had a lot of technical issues in many ways. I mean, emails weren't going out. Then they lost their interface with PayPal. Gumroad's had a lot of issues, and they were a good platform for a bit, but I went over to Substack. It's a bigger platform. It's more mature. They're dedicated to free speech. It's just a great environment. So head on over to Substack. I appreciate it. But it's great to see all you guys. So, I think that's all the housekeeping. Yeah, last night, Sasha and I had a fun show on Night Owls. Again, we do that too. So there's a lot of content that happens every day. There's a column every day, a live stream. Some days, a couple of live streams, like on Wednesday and on Tuesday, the roundtables, and then Sunday nights. That's what we're starting to do is Night Owls. So a lot of stuff, a lot of content. But that is good because there's a lot of stuff happening. And just as I was talking to you, I did a boomer tag. I just love saying that word boomer for no reason now. I hit the tab. I closed it. So here it is, because I do prep. Unlike night owls, I actually do prep for this show. All right. Um, let's see what is happening here. There's a couple of major stories I want to kind of go over, and I'm not going to. I showed this last night in YouTube. They didn't give me a strike, but they were like, "Oh, that's a copyright issue." And this was CBS, and this is CBS right here. There's that fat German woman, and this dorky-looking German, and this stupid-looking German. And they're really proud. These are like commissars. They enforce political correctness in Germany. And CBS on 60 Minutes, they did a puff piece on this because they're all excited about political censorship. A lot of Americans were not aware. I know you guys probably were because, in our sphere, we were aware of how censorship, political censorship, religious censorship, and historical censorship has increased. And we have it in the United States too. But thank God we have the First Amendment in the United States. So in the First Amendment, because of the First Amendment, the government can't directly arrest you because they don't like what you say. But that's not true of other countries. And we always thought of other countries like Canada, England, even Germany. We used to call them free nations, the free world. And under the Soviets, they were the not free. They were behind the Iron Curtain. But as J.D. Vance said, as he pointed out in his speech in Munich, and it sent shockwaves through the world because he was like the little boy that said the emperor has no clothes. And he just said the obvious, that what we knew, but a lot of normie Americans never really understood. Like even some of the stuff I didn't understand. Like in Britain, they literally arrested a man because he said a prayer. Not out loud. He wasn't bothering anyone. It was a silent prayer. And they said, "What are you praying about?" And he's saying, "Well, I'm praying about the death of my boy that was aborted." "Oh, you can't do that." And they arrested him. And as I said, even in the darkest days of the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany, I don't even think in North Korea they got to that point where if you're silently just saying a prayer, they will arrest you. They will do that now in Britain. It's gone batshit insane, totalitarian. And Germany is the same way. For example, you can't do anything they call hate or disinformation, or they're talking about, if you insult someone, we can arrest you. Well, I consider these fuckers to be insulting, right? I mean, that pig on the end, that bitch that's trying to take our rights away, I find that bitch insulting. I want her to be arrested then. See, this is the problem you have. And it's the problem you have with, as J.D. Vance said, with disinformation or misinformation or so-called hate speech. Well, who's to determine what's hateful? I think it's hateful to bring in all these Muslim immigrants into Germany. I think that's very hateful. It's a form of genocide. But no, they consider it hate to object to it. So that's always a problem, is once you have a concept like hate speech, you don't have free speech, because whatever you don't like, you just call hate speech. Whatever the government doesn't like. So by that definition, every country in the history of the world has had free speech, right? You could say whatever you wanted in Nazi Germany, just not what they considered hateful things. Same with the Soviet Union. You could say whatever you wanted, just not hateful things. No, they didn't use a term like hate speech in the Soviet Union. They used the phrase counter-revolutionary speech or something like that. That was you're being a counter-revolutionary, and you'd be thrown into Siberia for that. So that's the problem. And CBS did a thing about this. And you would think CBS would be aghast because, the media is supposed to be for open discussion. In a democracy, right? You're supposed to be able to discuss things openly. It may not be accurate, and you may disagree with someone, but they have a right to say it. But no, CBS was cheerleading this. They thought this was a wonderful thing. That little bitch bimbo was just laughing and just like cheering on these Germans, how they arrested some people. Because in Germany, if you post something they don't like, let's say on X, they can arrest you. But it's even worse. So say if someone posts something on X and you retweet it or like it, you could go to jail for that. And it's just what, whatever. Of course, the big ones, you can't offend their religion. And the official religion now, much of Europe, is the Holocaust. It's a religion. It's not history, because history you can debate. If you can't debate it, it becomes religion. It'd be like in the old Middle Ages, you can't debate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So it'd be like if Germany says, no, we have free speech, but you can't debate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If you deny the resurrection of Jesus Christ, you're going to jail. It's very similar. That's what they do with the Holocaust. And then other things they do too, like insulting someone, or their definition of hate is a mile long and keeps being added. It's whatever they don't like, they call hate. So obviously that's not a free society. And then they say, oh, we don't allow you to post misinformation. But who defines what is true and what's not true? Because as we saw in COVID, the stuff that we were told was true. For example, Biden said, if you get the vaccine, you're not going to get COVID. Well, that was fake. But if you disputed that, you would be censored. Or Hunter Biden's laptop. People said, no, this is a real laptop. This shows the corruption of the Biden family, how Hunter Biden had the no-show job in Ukraine in order to get favors from daddy. So, at the time, Joe Biden was vice president, and how it worked, his son was corrupt, had a fake job in Ukraine, which they funneled money in to bribe Joe and the family. In return, Joe gave favors to the corrupt Ukrainian government. That's how the bribe worked. And it showed that in the Hunter Biden laptop. The Hunter Biden laptop, all the sex pics and the drugs, that was salacious. That got everyone all excited. But that wasn't the real corruption. The real corruption was showing, I think, treason from Biden and the whole family, how they were selling out America. And remember, we were told that was fake. That was Putin. Putin put that laptop in a New Jersey computer repair shop. That was Putin. Well, and the FBI, it was Putin. We sign off as Putin. Well, now they come out and admit they lied. It was real. I mean, that's just one example. So in Germany, though, for something like that, if you would say, no, I think you're wrong about that, I think that is a genuine laptop, you would be thrown into jail. Britain, the same. So these are not free countries. And it's one thing we can blame these countries in a way, and I get it, but a lot of what they have set up is because of Americans under Obama, and then even it continued under Trump because he didn't have control of his administration. But these NGOs, again, the USAID, they're not about starving African children or anything like that. They're about corruption. They send money to these NGOs like Soros, and these NGOs then work to try to subvert what most of us believe is good. Like I don't hate white people, but they want to eliminate whiteness. They want to eliminate and how do you eliminate whiteness? Well, make sure they don't have homelands and flood them with other people. Make sure they interbreed so it's basically a form of genocide they're trying to push. That's how you do it. You attack Christianity, you attack the family by pushing sodomy and transgenderism and all that. And that's what these agencies were doing with your tax money. And we were pushing this on Europe. And these agencies were explaining to these countries how to do their censorship and arrest people. They were cheering that on, what they would call content moderation. Now, they couldn't do that in the United States because of the First Amendment, but they try to do workarounds. And this is, you had groups like the SPLC-ADL, who, by the way, they should be under a RICO investigation for violating people's civil rights, because as an American, you have a civil right to free speech. If they are conspiring to deny that, they are violating your civil rights. They should face 20 years in prison if found guilty. Just like, for example, let's use an example everyone could understand. Let's say the evil KKK, which doesn't exist, but people like to pretend it exists, conspired to prevent, let's say, Black Americans from attending their church by intimidating them, trying to get them fired, threatening them from attending their Baptist church in the country, right? That would be a civil rights violation. The KKK members would face 20 years in prison or more. That's what these SPLC-ADLs doing. They conspire with the NGOs and working with tech companies to try to silence Americans. And they've been successful. Or they have different ways of silencing Americans. One is just by banning you. But the other ways they've been able to do it is, and I'm under this now on YouTube, is the algorithm, they hide you from being seen. Google does this on their search engine now. Twitter used to do that. They hid people they didn't like. And so this is another way they do their censorship to violate the First Amendment. So in a way, it's easy to criticize Britain and Germany and these countries about being totalitarian, but in many cases, it's been American organizations or American taxpayer organizations that have been pushing this on to Europe. Not that Europe's objected. They don't have a history of freedom. The norm has always been to arrest people that disagree with the government. But this is what we see happening right now in Europe, and it's good that J.D. Vance brought this up, because this is in conjunction with the security of like, oh no, we got to stand up against the evil Russians, otherwise they'll take away our freedoms. I'm like, what freedoms? You can't speak your mind in Britain. You can't speak your mind in Germany. You'll be arrested. If there's an election they don't like, they just ban the people as part of the. They just cancel the election. That happened in Romania. A right-wing candidate was winning, so they said, we can't have this. We're just going to cancel the election. So it's like, what exactly in the Europeans? Oh, Vance is attacking our values. I'm like, what are your values? Arresting your citizens for complaining about immigration, making endless immigrants coming in to slaughter your children. Are those your values? Arresting Christians from praying, pushing transgenderism in the schools, arresting people that object to it. Is that your values? Who wants to fight for those values? I mean, those are satanic values. And basically the point J.D. Vance was saying is that Russia is not really the threat. They're not. It's a fantasy they're trying to do to get people rally behind them. It's something that governments have always done, is to try to create fear to get people to support them. We saw this recently with COVID. In COVID, it was a big attempt to try to get people scared by pushing something that was extremely exaggerated. Oh, you have to wear masks. Oh, you have to social distance. Oh, you're going to die unless you get the vaccine. And they put all this bullshit out there, try to get everyone in a frenzy and scared. A lot of people fell for it. They're fragile mind. They just had a mental breakdown. No, we got to trust the government. We got to trust science. And you saw what a fiasco that turned to be. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to say, oh, those evil Russians are going to send the tanks into Paris. No, they're not. They have no desire to do that. It's just nonsense. And Trump says so. It's ridiculous. They're pushing a fake fear. But as J.D. Vance said, the real threat to the Europeans is not the Russians, not the Chinese. It's these three like bureaucrats here. They're the threat, the people that take away your liberties. And they're the ones that are oppressing you, not some foreign country. And that was an important point that J.D. Vance made. And I think that was a real key point. And I think that was a monumental watershed moment that they can't, because forever people always want to pretend they're the good guys. So these Germans and the Brits, when they arrest people for prayer, or they ban elections, or they arrest people for the political views, they're always trying to say, well, we're the good guys, because if we allow these people to talk, bad guys will win. That's how they phrase it. That's how they do it in the United States. Safety, trust and safety. Like hearing a disputed idea. Oh, that's not safe. Like someone saying, oh, the Hunter Biden laptop, we think that could be real. Oh, that's not safe. We gotta have safety and protect you. They always couch it in those terms, very feminine terms, by the way. They don't like this. They call it content moderation, not censorship. But they're using these groups like the SPLC and ADL, who again have a very hatred towards Christianity and white people in general, very left-wing organizations. And this needs to be exposed. And I think this is starting to be exposed. This is huge. So this has been a problem on a foreign basis. It's worse in countries, again, like Germany and Britain, because you can literally go to jail if you say something the government doesn't like. But thankfully, we never got to that point directly in the United States. But in the United States, they can kick you off social media, hide you. They can put pressure on banks to try to de-bank you, which they did to a lot of people. So there has been political persecution in America, which I think is illegal. Again, you don't have a right to conspire to deny someone their civil rights. You don't have that right in America. And I think various groups like the SPLC and ADL, they have for years engaged in a conspiracy to deny Americans their civil rights, to prevent people from speaking freely and people hearing their message. If you don't like someone's message, the American way is to counter it. Put out your own videos, write your own articles, give your own speeches. It's not trying to silence other people. But the European elite now, they think the way to handle this is not to dispute an argument, it's just to shut it down. Shut it down! Shut it down! That's how they think. You notice they weren't disputing the facts with J.D. Vance or trying to defend it. They were just trying to shut down his speech and trying to stop people from hearing him. So there's a lot of tyranny over in Europe right now. And Europe's biggest threat, again, is not Putin, it's not China, it's the tyranny that's on their own soil. And this is really what happens. So that was, and this is a way that happens a lot with wokeism. It goes into the situation. And let me just show you some examples. Like, here's this one. I don't give a fuck about Germany. Fuck you guys, you tyrants. And again, I'm from my mother's side, and my heritage is partly German. Germany will throw you in prison if you retweet this video of thousands of Germans protesting open borders late last year. So this is a protest they had in Germany because people are tired of not having a homeland. So these are thousands of Germans expressing their displeasure, but if you even show the video of it, the Germans, if you live in Germany, they can arrest you. This is the type of tyranny that they face now in Germany. We'll go over some other examples here of the tyranny that's in Europe. And it's important because thank God, if Kamala had her way, she thinks this is good. She would like to see something like this happen in America. 100% the Democrats were working on this. This lady, Marie Kaiser, was charged and fined 6,000 euros for posting a fact about immigration statistics and crime rates. So she was showing how that the immigrants commit most of the crimes in Germany. It's the same thing in Sweden. The European people in general are very peaceful. I mean, there's some exceptions, but in general. But almost all the rapes and violent crimes have now come from immigrants that don't even belong in these countries. And the people didn't want them there. But groups, these NGOs that hate white people, hate Europeans, they want to try to hurt them. So they brought these people in. So even posting something factual is not a defense. You will still be arrested. And she just posted that in Germany, Afghans and Africans are proportionately 40 times to 70 times more involved in gang rapes than Germans. So it's like 70 times more likely if there's a gang rape, it's an African or a Muslim from the Middle East. And even though that's true, Germany tries to suppress that. So what they do is they want to suppress the truth. And why do they want to suppress the truth? And notice they don't, in a democracy, in an open society, if you object to what she's saying, there's ways you can do it. You can say, well, yeah, but it's still rare and most of them don't do it. Or there's a few bad apples or whatever. Or the German people deserve it because of the Holocaust or whatever. I think these are all poor arguments. But the point is they have the ability to refute it if that's what they want to do. But they don't want to refute anything. They just want to silence people and arrest them if they post something that they don't like. And this is what we've been seeing here. And again, they try to get this into the United States too. And this persecution is very widespread. Here's a guy, it's really sad. And hopefully Trump can fix this, but at American Renaissance, Martin Sellner, he's an Austrian patriot, a great guy. been very active to try to free the German people, that the German people can have their homeland, not hateful to anyone. And he's constantly been persecuted in Austria and Germany. He's Austrian, I guess, it's like Germany. Combine the two states, another Reich. But yeah, he's been persecuted quite a bit. So much so, he couldn't even come into the United States and speak at an American Renaissance. This guy's not violent. He just talks. And the United States under Biden won't allow him in. So hopefully we drop a lot of that in. But as Martin Sellner said, the Austrian state has been persecuting me to death for 12 years. I've had 3 rage. And again, he's never done anything violent. He just uses words and writes. I was charged and not found guilty of founding a criminal organization. He didn't have any organization. I have been constant proceedings for so-called hate speech. I lost 93 bank accounts and on and on and on. And as he said, the enemy is within. P.S. I'm proud of their persecution and I will not stop. I mean, very brave man, Martin Sellner. I admire him. We need more brave men to stand up against this tyranny. And so there are people that are brave that are standing up against it. And we must always remember people like Martin Sellner and others who paid the price for standing against tyranny. One day it's going to be popular to stand against tyranny. I hope, if it changes, and you'll see everyone say, "Oh, I never supported that tyranny." It's sort of like when communism fell. Everyone claimed former communists. I never liked it. It wasn't my fault. I hated it too. Yeah, well, how brave of you now to say that. We're going to see the same thing that happens once it becomes uncool to have these tyrannical policies. You're going to have all these people say they never really supported it. I think we're already seeing this with the trans thing. People are going to say, I never really believed a man in a sundress with a woman. No, I didn't really believe that. Because it's safe to say that now. But we got to really recognize the people that were brave enough to say it when there was a huge penalty to say it, when there was a risk to speak the truth. But the truth, I believe, always wins. Jesus said that. The truth will set you free. And to have the truth on your side is powerful. It's the other side, when they deal with lies and fake narratives, it's very difficult then to keep up the fiction, which is what they're trying to do. Hey, I got a rant on Rumble, and thank you. This is Jameson STU. Thank you, Jameson. Thank you for your insight, Paul. You have helped me navigate the current state of our country and Western culture. Your efforts are much appreciated. Well, thank you. I really appreciate my audience and you guys. We're kind of like a community, and I really appreciate your support. So thank you for that. So, and I think the way to do it is be like someone like Martin Sellner. I admire him. Or Jared Taylor, I admire him. Be a man or a woman that is normal. You don't want to be wacky, crazy. Don't go act goofy. And sadly, we have some of those. But we need sober-minded men and women. It doesn't mean you're perfect. Everyone has their flaws, right? I have my flaws. We all have their flaws. I'm sure Jared Taylor has flaws. Not haven't seen them, but I'm sure he does. And Martin Sellner does. No one's perfect. But we don't need goofball running around. Remember, under the old alt-right, we had Richard Spencer, and he had his lead man, thought he was a Roman emperor. Sol Invictus. I am a Roman emperor. I changed my name legally to the sun god. I mean, like, no. And I sacrifice goats. Yeah, we don't need that, right? Or run around in a stupid costume. We don't need that. And so it's tough. I get it. Because when you're saying stuff that's on the fringe, but it's true, you're going to get not only persecution from the establishment, but you're going to have a lot of nutty people be drawn to your side. And some of the nutty people aren't even genuine. They could be paid by these NGOs to try to discredit you. It's tough. It really is tough to navigate. And I really do appreciate the people that have really fought this war. And we owe them a debt of gratitude. We really do. Martin Sellner is a great patriot, and it's good. There's a lot of good Europeans. And as I said yesterday on X, I'm really tough on Europeans, and I'm tough on the British more than any other people. Like, I don't really go on about Africa. I mean, Africans are Africans, right? I mean, that's who they are. I don't sit around and worry about, I mean, it's sometimes comical look at when they try to do things, but I don't really fuss about it too much because, and same with South America. Yeah. Viva la revolution, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I don't really care. But Europe is like my heritage, and the British especially. That's where my people came from, right? I'm Ramsey. That's Scottish name. My grandmother's maiden name was Jones, Welsh, I think that is, right, from Wales. And my dad, there's English, a little bit Irish, but mostly Scottish. Then on my mother's side, German. So Europe's my heritage, my family, my ethnicity. Be like a Japanese person in America. They may be an American, but, eventually they're Japanese. My heritage is European. And they're like family, so it's really tough to see family acting in such a degraded state, right? It's like if you have someone in your family that you really love, but they're shooting up heroin. I mean, it breaks your heart, and maybe you have to give them some tough love to try to kick them back into shape because you don't want to see them in that condition. I don't want to see Europe weak. I don't want to see them pathetic. I don't want to see a bunch of girl bosses. I don't want to see a bunch of effeminate men in Europe. And I don't want to see all this, they act so tough. I mean, what's Europe going to do with Russia? They're all weak. Yeah, they can arrest citizens like grandmas that may say something on Facebook that they object to. Ooh, you're real tough. But they can't deal with a terrorist. So I want to see Europe do better. Same with Canada. Canada, I consider like family. They're next to us. They're not much different. I hate to see what has happened to them. And I think that's how J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance is the same ancestry as me. I mean, he's Scotch-Irish, and so is Trump. And we have some of the same blood. U.S. Vice President Vance called German prosecutors raiding citizens' home over insults online is Orwellian, and everyone in Europe must reject this lunacy. Yeah, so if you post like a spicy meme online, 60 Minutes showed this approvingly. They thought this was great. They'd have the SWAT team and battle gear, the police will break down your door. Oh, how dare you post that meme about immigrants? Oh, we're not going to tolerate that. Now, if you're an immigrant slaughtering people on the street, they're not going to bother with that. But if you complain about it, no, we're not going to tolerate that. That's literally where they are right now. And it is really crazy. And I think this is one of the things that that I really appreciate about the Trump administration so far. It's been 3 weeks. I guess this week is going to be 4 weeks. And I know a lot of people supposedly on our side already criticize Trump. And I don't think that Trump is a god emperor. Everything he does is perfect. And I had a lot of criticism of his first administration. But it's hard for me to really criticize him within the first 3 weeks, what he's done. He shut down the border. He's done a lot of deportations. You can say, oh, he needs to do more. I agree. But it's been 3 weeks, and I've been happy what he's done. He's already trying to establish peace in Europe. He's already brought up the issue of a lack of freedom in Europe, free speech, and they cancel elections, ban political parties. He's brought that up. His administration has been making these points that normie Americans are seeing that, and that they never knew. They're like, what? People get arrested in Britain for silent prayer? What? Germany, you could be arrested if you retweet something? What the hell? And I had no idea. I thought that's what would happen under Nazi Germany or Soviet Union. And what's going on here? See, people didn't realize how bad it got. So I think in general, Trump his administration has done a really good job. There's a lot of work to go forward, and who knows? I don't know what's going to happen a year from now. Maybe he'll do something horrible. He could. But let's look at, here's Rubio. And I'm not really a fan of Rubio, but hey, let's listen.
Why would our allies or anybody be irritated by free speech and by someone giving their opinion? We are, after all, democracies. The Munich Security Conference is largely a conference of democracies in which one of the things that we cherish and value is the ability to speak freely and provide your opinions. And so I think if anyone's angry about his word, they don't have to agree with him, but to be angry about it, I think actually makes his point. I thought it was actually a pretty historic speech, whether you agree with him or not. I think the valid points he's making to Europe is we are concerned that the true values that we share, the values that bind us together with Europe, are things like free speech and democracy and our shared history in winning 2 world wars and defeating Soviet communism and the like. These are the values that we shared in common. And in that Cold War, we fought against things like censorship and oppression and so forth. And when you see backsliding and you raise that, that's a very valid concern. We can't tell them how to run their countries. He simply expressed in a speech his view of it, which a lot of people frankly share. And I thought he said a lot of things in that speech that needed to be said.
Yeah. Because this was in the context, because they wanted J.D. Vance to go to the Munich Security Council to pound his fist, evil Putin, all that. That's what they wanted. They wanted one of those speeches. Instead, J.D. Vance said, well, the real threat to your citizens, not you bastards, but the citizens, are you. You guys are oppressing your people. You're arresting people for what they say, for their opinions. And Vance said that. You may not agree with their opinions. That's fine. But that's part of being a free society. You allow people to give their opinions. The minute you start arresting someone because you consider it hate, and who defines what's hate? Well, you do, right? Oh, how convenient, right? It's like in Germany. Oh, we can arrest you if you offend someone. Right, great. You fuckers are offending me. Arrest yourself then, bastards. Oh, no, not us. Yeah, see, that's the problem, right? You can't. I could say everything these people are doing. I could say advocating for immigration into Germany is hate speech. I could say that. I could logically say that. And I guess on Saturday Night Live, Tom Hanks was making fun of Trump and MAGA people, showing them as racist, as stupid hicks. The usual stuff. Well, think about this, left. If we want to do your view of things, of speech, then what's to stop us on the right to saying, well, Tom Hanks, he's insulting the president. He's engaging in hate speech. He should be arrested. In Germany, he would be arrested. I mean, again, there is a double standard. They don't arrest if you support them. But if you were attacking a left-wing politician, they would arrest you. And that's the problem. So you got to be careful, leftists, because this could be used against you, right? We could say, well, Tom Hanks engaged in hate. He insulted MAGA people. He engaged in defamation against us. He needs to go into prison, right? Same thing.
And honestly, I don't know why anybody would be upset about it. People are allowed, you don't have to agree with someone's speech. I happen to agree with a lot of what he said, but you don't have to agree with someone's speech to at least appreciate the fact they have a right to say it, and then you should listen to it and see whether those criticisms are valid. I assure you, the United States has come under withering criticism on many occasions from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around throwing temper tantrums about it.
Yeah, well, the reason they do is because I know they can't defend their position. That's a primary reason for censorship. On any subject, including history, I'll just leave it there. History, and whatever things have happened in history. If you have to silence people, that means there's probably something wrong with your story. Something big with your story, and you know it. And so you can't have anyone talking about it. So that is a sign that you're not very confident if you just have to shut people down. That means you're probably in error. So that's why they want to silence people, because they can't defend it, because they know, right? I think they know logically that let's have everyone debate immigration. Like, is it really great bringing in all these Muslims to Germany? Is this helping the German people? That should be the prime function of the German government. I know it seems wild, but that should be the prime function, is what's best for the German people. Just like it's considered wild that the American government under Donald Trump, and everyone was screeching, oh, he's a fascist. Oh, he's a fascist. Donald Trump's trying to take the interests of Americans first. How dare he? Yeah, I know it's like radical to think that, but there should be their position. And they're not really confident in their position if they allowed everyone to speak. The Germans will say, no, I don't see enrichment happening. You could say we got, exotic food, all these kebabs. Yeah, I think we'll skip that for all this violence we're seeing and mayhem. We don't need these people in here. They're worried that was what people will think, and they will eject them, and they'll start their own. And then these people in charge will no longer be in charge. So they know that their positions are not popular, and they can only rule by intimidation and through fear. And it's not just something again, I'm not just picking on our European friends, because this happened in the United States too. Again, not with the government. But here was an example that they have indoctrinated kids to be scared to say what you really believe. In America, this is outrageous. And take a look at this. And this one lady, she just wants to give her opinion, but her friend's trying to stop her because she knows she could get into trouble. So watch this here. I'll just show this over here.
How many genders are there?
I feel like there's two, because like transgender.
No, stop. Don't say that on camera.
Yeah, but I feel like you either switch from a boy to a girl.
No,
like
stop,
you can
stop,
switch
stop,
back
stop.
and forth.
Stop. I feel like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to be, it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, but I feel like they switch back and forth. Like, I know.
Yeah, but like, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's like, you can be anything you want to be. It doesn't matter. Come on, stop.
So her friend is saying, stop. Don't tell the truth. I know what you're saying is right, but you could get yourself in trouble here, so you better not say that. This shouldn't happen. This should not happen in America. And the people and organizations like this, PLC and ADL, that have pushed this poison need to face the consequences. And until we root out those people and those organizations, it will just come back. This is all that has to happen. We have to make it that one of our prime values of an American is we allow people to speak freely. And if your goal is try to shut down people, get them deplatformed or debanked because of protected speech, then you need to be on charges of civil rights violation, conspiracy for a civil rights violation. That's what needs to happen, because we got to stop these people, because what they're doing is evil. And so this is really a key point. So it's not just in Britain, in America. Even in America, people are hesitant, or were hesitant, to say what they wanted to, to speak the truth. And it's just not, again, Germany too. Here was, this is Britain. And again, it pains me because my heritage is British from, hundreds of years ago.
Hello, my name's Sean. I'm a senior nurse. I work at the NHS.
Yep. Name and number, please, mate.
Yeah, PC Green, Echo Bravo 428.
John Joe, PC Turner, Hastings Police Station.
So these police were called. We're not going to watch the whole thing, because the British police were called. British police and a psychologist showed up in a man's home because he had written on social media, "Christians must stand up," after an Islamic attack. So the Muslims, they did a terrorist attack. And this guy said, hey, we Christians need to stand up against this. And the British response was to send police to his home to intimidate them. And again, in the UK and Europe, there's no freedom of speech. J.D. Vance is right. Now, to be fair, we've had our own issues in the United States that really need to be cleaned up, and people that engage in this, they need to go to prison. Including, we've had some high-profile cases of FBI agents that need to go to prison because they violated people's civil rights, their First Amendment, where people spoke out, let's say, at a school board saying, we don't want critical race theory taught to our children. We don't want them to be taught that they're evil because they're white. We don't want our tax money to go for that. Well, parents that stood up in the school board, right, supposed to be a democracy, you're talking to your schools that you're funding through property taxes, the FBI put these people on a watch list. And again, the FBI agents that did that, they need to go to jail. They need to go to jail for that. That's a serious offense. Or when someone posts their opinion illegally on social media, then they have the FBI show at your house to try to intimidate you. You've seen a lot of those videos where they didn't arrest anyone because there's nothing illegal. Oh, we just want to talk to you. It's a form of intimidation. They show up at your house. And again, that needs to be illegal. And the FBI agents that do that, they should be fired, lose their pensions, and potentially face jail time. They should also have to pay damages to the people they did that to. So we've had some of these problems in the United States too. So I'm not saying a lot of this came from the United States. And let's take a look at some more of this craziness. And I already said that. We did this. Here it is. Let me close this tab. I had to get the right tab. This is, I think, Marco Rubio. Again, he's been pretty good on this. So here we go.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the
Well, I have to
censorship
disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history. I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion in free speech and intolerance for opposing points of view within Europe, and that's of concern because that is eroding. That's not an erosion of your military capabilities. That's not an erosion of your economic standing. That's an erosion of the actual values that bind us together in this transatlantic union that everybody talks about. And I think allies and friends and partners that have worked together now for 80 years should be able to speak frankly to one another in open forums without being offended, insulted, or upset.
So what she's saying, and this is kind of the crux of the matter, it's a really interesting argument. She's saying if people are allowed to speak freely, they will naturally start to persecute the Jews. That's what she's basically saying. And it's kind of an amazing kind of, if you think what she's really trying to say there. But that is the crux of why they want to shut down people. One of the crux reasons they want to shut down people. So she's basically the argument, hey, if people are allowed to speak freely, they will naturally elect people like the Nazis because reasons. It's just amazing. But that is what she's saying. And yeah, so that is pretty crazy here. Kim, thank you. Hey, Rams. The Canada-Finland foreign nations start shortly. Those Canadian bastards are of course favorites, but I believe Finland has a chance to upset Canada. Yeah, that's been really cool. I guess that NHL, they've really breathed life into their All-Star game. They used to just have the All-Star game where no one really tried. All-Star games are usually, in any sport, are just a joke to watch. Like football, I think they pretty much got rid of it. They have flag football because no one cared. No one even tried. The NHL, they really have life in it because they have like this four-nation tournament. My God, they're taking it seriously, the players. And against the U.S. Canada, I don't know if you guys saw that, there was a whole fights that broke out at an All-Star game. They were fighting. They were taking it seriously. So that's good to see. And yeah, good luck for Finland. I'll be rooting for Finland. And I thought it was kind of funny that the Americans beat the Canadians. How pathetic is that? That's like their sport in Canada, hockey, and the Americans beat them. Yeah, so good luck to Finland on that. I hope you guys do well on that. So, so there we go. Let's see here. Couple of things that have happened too. This picture kind of sums up the whole Europe at the point. It's just really perfect. It wasn't intentional, but this is a Muslim terrorist that stabbed to death a German boy, right? And he's there laughing. There's the girl boss policewoman looking weak, and he doesn't give a shit. He's just laughing about the situation. And it just sums everything up perfectly. This is the state of Europe now, how weak they are. They're importing these terrorists to kill their children. And if you object to it, they will arrest you in Europe. And well, you got the girl boss and the whole bit. It's just all fantasy that they're engaged in. We need to break this out. These people need to be deported. We need to get policemen, not women. And we got to get serious. Europe needs to have serious men taking charge of Europe again. So yeah, that's what's happening there. All right. The other big thing coming up is this week, is being billed as peace talks between U.S. and Russia. But as I read Z-Man every day, and by the way, we're doing a show Wednesday night, but he explained, and he's right, it's really more than just Ukraine. Putin and Trump, they want to normalize relations with each other. So we don't want to be an enemy of Russia necessarily. Why can't we get along? Oh, because Russia wants to take over the world. No, they don't. They're not going to take over the world. So Trump really wants to, he wants to do what's in the best interest of America. And we don't have the money to waste on some dictator in Ukraine. Zelensky's a dictator. He canceled elections. They don't have free speech in Ukraine. They jail citizens, so fuck them, right? Why should our money go to support that regime? And Trump's attitude is like, I don't see the reason to support this regime. I want to have good relations with Russia. And as part of the discussion, Ukraine is one topic. It's not the only topic. You remember when first Trump talked to Putin? It went on for 90 minutes, and the media didn't really focus in, but they talked about a lot of things. They talked about the dollar, they talked about AI, they talked about BRICS, they talked about a lot of subjects, and Ukraine was just one of the subjects. Of course, the media just focused on Ukraine, but I think they're missing the point. I think Trump, and I think Putin feels this way too, that's kind of it's an important issue, but it's not the whole issue. There's how do we work with Russia? How do we work with China? How are we going to solve disputes? How's the world going to look? Trump has a bigger vision here. I really believe that. And Ukraine's part of it, but it's not the whole thing. So they're having negotiations now, I think this week. And I think they start tomorrow, Tuesday. But not with Trump yet, but his team is meeting with the Russians, and they're going to be talking about the Ukraine thing, maybe other issues too. And Germany, and here, I'll just show you here. And a lot of this, let me pull this out of the way. Peace talks between Russia and the United States to resolve the war in Ukraine take place this Tuesday, so tomorrow. The Ukrainian delegation is probably nearby and will be consulted by U.S. negotiators. It is said there won't be any direct contacts between Kiev and Moscow. Europe is not invited. Right, because Europe has no interest in peace, and Trump is not going to be saddled down by them. He's just not. And what is going to happen, and I've said this, and it's almost clear now, Trump is going to come to a conclusion with Putin about how to resolve the war, at least from the United States point of view. And I know Zelensky's like, we're not going to agree to that. And that cuck in Britain, Starmer, no, we're going to fight in Ukraine. And see, Trump's position is pretty simple. Okay, so I'll just lay it out for you. This is reality. You may not like it. Europeans, you may not like it, but this is reality, okay? Europe really doesn't have much military strength. They don't. They've been very weak. Since World War II, Europe's been very weak. You could say it's by design. The mean Americans have been dominating everything. Maybe. We have a lot of military bases there. But the Europeans really haven't objected because the military bases brings in a lot of revenue for them. And it allowed Europe not really have to spend any money on defense. So they could spend money on social programs. And they can brag, oh, we got free healthcare. You primitive Americans don't. Right? That's shit. But they don't have to pay for an army. They were counting on us defending them. And Trump said, why are we being played for suckers here? We're not going to do that anymore. So, but for whatever reason, NATO, like 90% is the United States in money and material. And even Zelensky said without United States help, Ukraine cannot win the war. I don't think they can win the war anyway because they don't have enough men. But that's just a fact, right? So this is going to be the situation. Trump and Putin will come to an agreement in Ukraine. And then Trump, and it's not up for discussion for you Europeans. You're being told, your input, we don't really give a shit. You're being told what this is going to be. And Ukraine, same way. Here's the agreement. Now you have two options. You accept the agreement, which will leave Ukraine as an independent country. They're going to lose territory, but they'll still have a country called Ukraine. You can have that. Okay, that's option one. Or you can throw a little temper tantrum and have a fit saying, well, no, we're not going to abide by that agreement. And Trump will say, okay, that's fine, but we're out then. You guys, God bless, have fun with it, because we're not going to fund this war anymore. You guys can fight the Russians, I guess. Good luck. Have fun. We're going to be doing other things. We got a lot of important things to do, like deporting people, increasing our energy production, reducing taxes, building our infrastructure. We got a lot of issues to deal with. We don't have time to piss away money in Ukraine. So if you guys don't want to accept our deal that we come up with between Putin and Trump, that's fine. I don't think Trump cares. Then you guys have it. Go for it. Have fun. Send your boys over to die against the Russians, or your women, or your trans women, or whatever you have. You guys have that. That's fine. We're out of here. That's going to be your two options. So in realism, if you're not going to do narrative, and Europe is kind of like a lot of America, they live in fantasy, at least the leaders do. They deny reality, and they think by having these fancy narratives, it changes the real world. But your fancy narratives don't change the real world. Pete Hegseth told him that. He said, all of your nice sounding speeches don't mean shit. You got to have weapons. That's what it comes down to. No one gives a shit about your nice speech, or you cry. There was some European was bawling because he was upset at Vance. I mean, what a pussy. And you have all these girl bosses acting all, oh, I'm upset. And okay, whatever, you can do that, but that doesn't mean shit. What means shit is tanks, guns, weapons. That's what means shit. And you guys don't have those because you've been relying on us. You didn't want to spend the money on that. Well, whatever. So that has consequences. So reality is not your narrative. But if you choose to live with your narrative that girl power, boss power is going to win the war, even though you don't have the weapons, well, you're going to get a dose of reality soon. Because what will happen is the U.S. funding will stop. No more is going to Ukraine. I tell you that right now. What's been spent under Biden and looted, no, there's no more. I knew that was going to come to an end when Trump basically said at Ukraine, we want to look at the books. Where the hell is this money going? Whenever someone's giving you money and they all of a sudden have an announcement, I want to look at the books, see how you're spending this money. That's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. And if you're like in a corporation and you have a division, and all of a sudden the CEO comes down, we want to look at the books, seeing how this money's being spent here. That's not a positive, right? So when Trump did that to Ukraine, it's not a good sign. And so unless you're really stupid over in Europe, you can understand that. So Trump is cutting this all off. And you can either you have two options. You can either accept the deal and have a somewhat independent Ukraine, although Zelensky's going, he's going. Or you can send your boys and girls to fight and you'll lose because you don't have any weapons and you're weak, and Russia will take the whole thing. And Trump doesn't care either way. Whatever you guys want to do is up to you. But that's how they don't really need to be part of the negotiations, because that's just going how it's be. And you can get mad. You can cry. Oh, America's so mean. Trump's so mean. Oh. He doesn't care. We don't care. Cry our tears. We love your tears. Don't worry about that. All right. Let's see here. I had another one. Get off my lawn. Why are you rooting for Finland instead of Team USA? I'm not really following. Kim said that Finland is playing Canada. I didn't know that. Okay, if USA is playing Finland, I'll root for Finland. But I thought Kim said that. I thought he said, yeah, he said that Canada, Finland, 4 nations start shortly. So I don't know, but I just was responding to what he said. I don't know if that's accurate. So if I had to choose, and I don't mind Canada. I just think it's kind of funny. because they're all butthurt. Because Trump, again, they've been living in a delusion too. Trump is not saying he's going to take troops to take over Canada. He's just saying, Canada, you're not going to take advantage of us anymore. And if you don't take advantage of us anymore, you're probably not a country and you're kind of fucked up and we don't really care. So either you become part of America or good luck. That's Trump's position. So they're getting a dose of reality too. Because again, we have a refreshing leader that puts the interest of Americans first. It's not like he hates Canadians. He's just saying, well, I'm not the Canadian president. I'm American president. Now, if you were part of America, then yeah, I'd have to care about you. But I care about Americans first. And we're not going to have you have car factories in Canada to provide you guys jobs when they could come back to America and provide our citizens jobs. So that is what is happening here. All right. Zelensky here. Let's see here. Oh, Trump talked a little bit about this, some of the stuff here.
Russia is going to wage. Yeah. Sorry, so Zelensky said today that Russia is going to wage war on NATO. Do you agree with that?
This volume's low. I can't get higher, but she's asking, Zelensky today said that Russia will wage war on NATO.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree. Not even a little bit.
And Trump said, no, I don't agree, not even a little bit. So this is a tactic they're trying to use. Again, they try to make everything World War II, that if Putin gets, let's say, the Donbass and keeps it, then it's going to embolden Putin, and then he's going to invade Poland and Britain and France. Not that I would care, because those countries aren't free, but that's just ridiculous. He's not going to do that. But this is the hysteria they're trying to get people on board with this war. And here's Zelensky. Here it is. I had the wrong thing up here. Let me show you this.
Asked if he sees something that President Trump said this week. He did not say yes when he was asked if he sees Ukraine as an equal member in the peace process. He did.
Well, Ukraine's not an equal member. They're not a superpower like the United States. Europe's not an equal member. This is just reality. All right. I mean, I don't want to hurt feelings, but when we're the guy that has all the weapons, all the money, all the troops, you're not an equal member. It's just, it'd be like during World War II, considering Luxembourg an equal member. No, they're not. It's just, they're not at all.
Did say later that Ukraine would have a seat at the table. Have you been given any assurances that Ukraine will have an equal seat at the negotiating table?
So I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine.
Well, okay. That's fine. And I don't think Trump will have a SEAL team as Seth, I don't think we'll do a Seth Rich on him. I mean, we could, but I don't think, I just think it's like, well, okay, this is a deal we brokered. If you don't want to take it, hey, good luck. Have fun, but you're not using our money or weapons. Have fun. Use the Brits. They can fund you. We're not.
Never. And our people, never. And our adults and children and everybody. It can't be so. This is the war in Ukraine against us. And it's our human losses. And we are thankful for all the support, unity between USA, in USA, around Ukraine support, bipartisan unity, bipartisan support. We're thankful for all of this, but there is no any leader in the world who can really make a deal with Putin without us, about us.
All right. Well, that's okay. And again, whatever. And you can fight your own war. Or, if you want to rope in Britain or France or see how that goes. Because they're weak. They're very weak nations. Britain's not like they were 100 years ago. They're a weak nation. So is Poland. They're not going to get involved. France. Please, you must be joking. So it's not going to happen. Let's hear some more on Trump about this.
Based on your conversations with President Putin, what do you think he wants ultimately in Ukraine? I think he wants to stop fighting. I see that. We spoke long and hard. Steve Witkoff was with him for a very extended period, like about 3 hours. I think he wants to stop fighting. They have a big, powerful machine. You understand that. They defeated Hitler and they defeated Napoleon. You know, they've been fighting a long time. They've done it before. And but I think he'd like this. I think he would like to stop fighting. You think he wants the whole of Ukraine, or just the like? What do you think he wants? No, I think he wants to stop. That was my question to him, because if he's going to go on, that would have been a big problem for us, and that would have caused me a big problem because you just can't let that happen. I think he wants to end it.
Yeah, as Trump said it, well, he was answering, well, you think he wants all of Ukraine? And Trump said, no, that would have been a big problem with us. And that's kind of code word that he'd be pissed off in that. And that was never Putin's goal. That was just made up in the media that he wanted to take over all of Ukraine and then take over France and all that. That was all bullshit. It was the eastern provinces were the ones in question because, again, they're ethnically Russian. There's a whole history there. He may want to take, I think the question may be Odessa. That's traditionally a Russian city. Pretty much, I think Russia wants everything east of the Dnieper River, so the eastern part of Ukraine. I don't think Russia has any desire to take Kiev, not Kiev, or the western part of Ukraine, which is mostly Polish anyway. Russia doesn't have any interest in that. So, no. Now, if they come to a deal and Europe and Zelensky decides they're not going to abide by it, well, okay, then Russia may get all of Ukraine.
And they want to end it fast. Both of them. And Zelensky wants to end it too.
So that's kind of Trump's under the opinion that they want to end the war. And I think they do. I do think Putin would like to wrap that up in exchange to ease some sanctions and get back into things. So I think that would be good. I guess Macron is going to have an emergency meeting in Paris to try to whoop up European support for the war. And Orban commented on it. Here it is. Today in Paris, the people who have fueled and escalated the war in Ukraine for the past 3 years are meeting. They are against peace and they're against the U.S. president, and they will stop at nothing to keep the war going. Well, again, I think Trump will say, well, it's up to you. You're just not doing it on our dime. American soldiers aren't dying. British soldiers want to die to prop up the Ukrainian dictator. I guess that's up to you. I don't know how much British citizens want to fight to defend transgenderism and censorship and a regime that arrests them for silently praying, but I guess they'll find out. But America, we're not going to be part of that. So it's going to be pretty simple that way. But there is some... Europe may be brought to the heel. I kind of doubt that they will do that. I think they will agree to whatever comes about because they understand that. I think they have to have some tie to reality. And we're seeing this a little bit. The Russian army probably has more javelins than the British army now. This is a telegraph. So, and you know, a lot of the media is controlled by the governments over there. It turns out we were funding a lot of their media through USAID. But this is a telegraph. So again, it's not like a pro-Putin or right-wing newspaper. In Ukraine, Russians are capturing stocks of Western-provided anti-tank weapons abandoned by Ukrainian forces. So a lot of the Ukrainian forces are just running away and leaving the equipment for the Russians. The article speaks of how the lack of training of Ukrainian personnel is mainly due to time, and the Ukrainians themselves being reluctant to learn NATO-style tactics. So NATO at odds with the Ukraine over Soviet-style tactics. So basically, we're starting to get in the blame game here, right? Why did the West lose the war in Ukraine. They are going to lose. Right. So now they're going to try to how to blame this. And one of the blame is going to be on the Ukrainians for not being smart enough to know how to fight effectively. And so they're already putting this out in the press. Another issue that Ukraine's going to have now is no one wants to be the last person to die for a war that's over, is going to be over. You don't want to be the last one to die, because what's the point? And at this point, if the Ukrainians see that a peace is coming, a settlement's coming, do you really want to risk your life defending a position that's probably going to be given via treaty to the Russians in a few days anyway? Do you really want to die for that? I wouldn't, and I don't blame them. I don't think they want to. I mean, they're just, So a lot of times, and I think we're starting to see the front buckle a little bit, where a lot of the Ukrainians just run away without their weapons. And so that's something else to watch, because as Russia is becoming emboldened, and the Ukrainians probably will become demoralized. Now, Starmer is saying that they're ready to send troops to Ukraine if needed. Well, okay. They don't have many troops, but you go for it, I guess. They want to bring down the British government, send Brits back in coffins. That is, I guess that's up to Britain. And let's see some more of this. Thank you guys for being here, and be sure to like and subscribe.
And told him that this hour with some breaking news, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has spoken to Volodymyr Zelensky this morning and told him that Ukraine is on an irreversible path to NATO. Now, that, of course, directly contradicts both President Trump and his Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, who over the past few days have repeatedly ruled out the prospect of Ukraine joining the military alliance. Now, it all comes our...
Yeah, so Starmer is telling Zelensky, and Starmer's the communist leader of Britain, or whatever they call it, Labour, that, oh, you're going to be part of NATO, Ukraine. Because what they want to do, if Ukraine's part of NATO, there's Article 5. If Ukraine is attacked, then, oh, American boys have to die to defend it. Article 5. And yeah, I first of all, it can say whatever you want, but Trump will just say, stick Article 5 up your ass. We're not going to be doing anything with that. But that's why they want to be part of NATO. And ironically, that was one of the reasons that Putin invaded Ukraine. He said, I had to invade because Europe is trying to get Ukraine to be part of NATO after they promised they never would do that. And European leaders, you liar! Putin's a liar! We never wanted Ukraine as part of NATO. He's a liar! Now they're saying, yeah, we want Ukraine part of NATO. So they're proving Putin correct. But Trump's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And unless we leave NATO, then they can do whatever they want. But if we leave NATO, meaning America, there is no NATO. So it doesn't really matter. So that is this here. Some more of the European censorship and how tyrannical they become, and how these weird, spiteful looking mutants. I'd probably be in Germany for saying this. This lady, this is a flattering picture of her. Let me just say, this is a flattering picture of her. I've seen other pictures, and my God, I've seen people in caskets that look healthier than her. But she's part of the Green Party. And the Green Party, that's like the former Communist Party or whatever. And she's saying, if necessary, X or TikTok must be blocked because they don't want free speech. So to protect democracy, they got to silence any opposing views. This is their weird Orwellian view that they have. So, yeah, they got some issues here. Then we have this other EU girl boss. By the way, it's so nice just to have like a couple of white men running things now. It's really refreshing. It's kind of like, whew, we missed that. Biden didn't count because he wasn't running anything. All right, so let's listen to this girl boss of Europe.
In the Russia's defeat is not a bad thing, because then there could be really a change in the society. And there are many different nations right now, part of Russia as well. I think if you would have more like small nations, it's not a bad thing if the big power is actually much smaller.
So here she is, and she is talking about defeating Russia and breaking it apart into small pieces. And her name is Kaja Kallas, the vice president of the EU, the second most powerful position in the bloc. I don't know why they have this girl in there. But she is admitting that the goal was to tear Russia apart. Well, that's not very smart, because that's basically confirms what Putin was saying was their goal. But she's not a very smart woman. So maybe if she's younger, she could do OnlyFans, but she shouldn't be in that position. But here we are. Here we are anyway. And that is where we are right now. Okay, let me just go through, make sure I got everything. And thank you guys all for your support. I do. All right. And, close that. Pete Hegseth, he said something, this was earlier last week. And it's good that we start dealing with reality. And any more right and left, I don't really like those terms. But if I say right, I'm saying we just recognize reality. We don't live in a fantasy of narrative. Like if you're a man that wears a sundress, you're a man that wears a sundress. You're not a woman. Whereas the left believes in magical thinking. And Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, just announced in Brussels at a press conference that the U.S. isn't prepared to face Russia, particularly at sea. He claimed it would take over 7 years to build the necessary ships. What the actual fuck is he doing broadcasting our vulnerabilities to the entire world? And so this guy's mad because this guy is mad. He goes by, I don't know, Skyline Report poll. Oh, how dare he say that? Well, I'm sure the Russians know. I mean, they could see our ships with DEI captains running aground. They could see our navies in shambles. Everyone can see that. It's not like some super secret. And we're not in a position to fight a war. And as Pete said, these people that want World War III, I don't know what they're smoking, but we're not in a position to fight everyone because you just have to be crazy to think that, right? I mean, we don't have the military anymore to do that. It would take years to do that. Oh, I got a $5 from Warren. Thank you, Warren. I appreciate the sticker. I appreciate no comment, but thank you for that. I do appreciate that. So, sometimes we just have to deal with honesty and say, we're not in a position to fight the whole world, and we don't need to fight the whole world. In fact, Trump wants to do something different. He wants peace with China. He wants peace with Russia. He wants us to trade fairly with each other, not us being screwed. But if they have tariffs, we're going to put the same tariffs on them. But he doesn't want war. In fact, he wants to reduce the size of the armed forces and nuclear weapons. So I think that is a good thing. Now, the British communist prime minister, communist or Labour, I get them confused. I guess they're basically the same. He wants to speak to Trump. Trump doesn't, it's sort of funny here. Listen to this.
To the meeting, we're going to have a friendly. I just signed a letter to him. He asked for a meeting, and I agreed to the meeting. We're going to have a friendly meeting. Very good. We have a lot of good things going on. But he asked to come and see me, and I just accepted his asking.
Do you have a date for that, sir? And what do you hope to
Very soon. I think he wants to come next week or the week after.
And what do you hope to discuss?
I don't know. It was his request, not mine. But, I met him twice already. We get along very well. He's a very nice guy.
So Trump's saying that the Brits want to meet with him for some reason. He has no idea why. But he's like, yeah, whatever. I'll meet him. He's a nice guy. We maybe do some golf or something. So that's typical. Trump. And I want to thank again Warren, another $5 super chat without a chat. But let me just see. I make sure I don't want to miss that. Yeah. So thank you, Warren, on that. I didn't see a comment, but thank you for donating this. I really do appreciate that. So we'll see. Probably they're going to come. He's going to come over to beg or complain to Trump about ending the war. We will have to see there. So, yeah. Let's see here. All right. Boy, there's a lot of stuff here. Let me just get through some other stuff here. A couple of quick things. We had a lot on foreign policy today because there's going to be all those meetings, and that's a key thing. But there are some stuff internally that's happened. This is ridiculous. California is still going in the opposite direction. They want to, and they're broke. California's broke. They have a huge deficit. But Gavin Newsom wants to spend $9.5 billion, which they don't have, to give free health care to illegal aliens. The federal government should freeze all funding for California until they comply with federal immigration laws. They should. California shouldn't get any federal money whatsoever if they're breaking the law. Illegal aliens, they should not get free health care. They should be sent back to their homelands. It's that simple. It's just ridiculous. I don't get free health care. I live in America, and I don't get free health care. Why shouldn't someone that's breaking our law, that has come into our nation illegally, get free health care? It's not free. Why should I have to pay for their health care? I don't get that. So it just shows how the Democrats are just really crazy about that. And we got to stop a lot of this that has happened. And some more of this came out here. Let me just show you. Breaking, HSS, Human Health and Services, I think, spent $22.6 billion on illegal aliens, covering cars, home loans, and even startup businesses. So these people break in this country illegally, and your tax dollars are helping give them new cars, giving them home loans, and helping them start a business. Biden's Office of Refugee Resettlement funded $10 billion in 2023 alone to nonprofits, incentivizing more illegal crossings. So your tax dollars were subsidizing an invasion of these people into your communities. And these people aren't adding anything except crime and poverty. But this is what your government was doing under the Biden regime. Absolute treason. So that is coming to the end, and that is a good thing. And again, Trump has done this. And has Trump been perfect? No, there's a lot more people we need to deport. But I think that is a pretty good thing here. And let's take a look at this. Speaking of illegal immigrants, and we'll wrap up here.
This is highway robbery. This is the federal government having already allocated, authorized, awarded, invoiced, and paid $80.5 million to the city of New York. And then Elon Musk, with no legal authority, seizing it back.
So this guy's upset because they were getting money. New York City Comptroller Brad Lander whines after Elon Musk took back $80 million that the city was going to use on illegal immigrants. Says the money just appeared from their accounts. Well, yes, you are participating in a crime if you're helping someone else commit a crime. And these are illegals. They don't need our tax money. They need to be shipped back. The Trump administration, and it wasn't Elon, it was Donald Trump, based on Elon Musk's advice, issued a clawback after FEMA officials sent tens of millions of dollars to the city for illegal immigrants. And this guy's claiming he was robbed. No, we were being robbed by you using our tax money on criminals. It's outrageous, but this is what was happening. All right. All right, we'll end with a dog thing. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. It's been a lot of fun. And just as a reminder, tomorrow is Tuesday, so that means we have a show again at, here we go. I got one here, a super chat. I almost didn't get in time, but I got it. Thank you. So here it is. Morgoth009. Not all magical thinking is created equal. Some dreamed of going to the moon and other dreamed of becoming women. Yeah, that is true. It's good to have dreams, but we need a dream like going to the stars, not going to Uranus. And that is, our dreams need to be changed a little bit. All right. We'll finish up with a dog video. I love these agility races these dogs do. It's just amazing.
Ohio. Pink.
So this is a dog from Ohio, a border collie. It's an agility race. I like these better than even the show dogs, because how do you tell if a dog, that's a hot looking dog, it wins, like a beauty pageant. This you can tell because it's subjective. They were doing a race. So check this out. This dog just hauls ass.
The border collie, handled by Jennifer Crank from Pickerington, Ohio.
Pink wants to get the party started tonight.
That is it.
They're hyper dogs.
Come here, get it. Come, sit, stay, stay. Okay.
Jennifer making sure Pink's in that contact zone. Jennifer's up ahead right there. Look at Pink fly.
Man, that guy's going.
Too long. Stay. Good job. Look at the extension Pink is doing on these jumps. Just beautiful. Nice extension all the way around.
Pink's ahead of the pace. Through the weak pulse.
Just stay smooth and clean.
Phenomenal job. And Pink will win it. By 2 seconds.
That was just sheer beauty. Beautiful lines. Jennifer out in front. Pink following. Pink saying, I got it. Pink
does that all for a morsel of food. You gotta love dogs. What a great dog. Guys, thank you for being here. And I'll be here back tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then we have our roundtable tomorrow night. If you're to be part of that, join the Substack. I do appreciate that. Until then, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.